Okay, I got a short episode for you today, and I want your help. I want to ask you this question. First of all, if you had a gun to your head, or if you met someone in an elevator and you're wearing a Genesis t-shirt and they were like, hey, you're a Genesis fan? Cool, so am I. What's your favorite album? What would your answer be? I can tell you mine in a second, but leave in the comments and let me know if somebody would say, what's your favorite album? That's so hard because you can only pick one. And I was thinking about that recently when I was wearing a Genesis hoodie, and I was like, what would I say? Like, I mean, there's just so much like nuance to that question. I mean, I really have about 3 or 4 any given day. And the second question I want you to answer in the comments below is, what is your favorite Genesis song? If the same person in the same elevator in that same moment was like, what's your favorite album? And then you told them, you came up with an answer that you probably would have changed when you got to the next floor. But then they say, okay, cool. What's your favorite song? So that's what I want you to answer. I mean, it's just a gun to your head. And if you're like me, that answer changes all the time. But just please let me know in the comments below, what is your favorite Genesis album and what is your favorite Genesis song? I think if there was a gun to my head right now, that's kind of grim. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I mean, listen, if there's a scenario where like a bad guy is like, you know, mugging me on the street or breaks into my house in the middle of the night and puts a gun in my head, it's like, what's your favorite Genesis album? I mean, that's a like a burglar that I'd get along with. I'd be like, wait till you see my vinyl collection. Anyway, okay, gun to my head, honestly, and I just want to clarify this question. Well, let me say the answer. It's We Can't Dance. And I know that's kind of shocking and offensive to some of you, but there's a very clear difference between what your favorite album is and what Genesis' best album is. And the same thing is true for Peter Gabriel and for Phil Collins, which we might do this one day for that as well. But when it comes to Genesis, I have a favorite album, and there are reasons as to why that's my favorite album. And then there's what I think is their best album. So for me, my favorite album is We Can't Dance. I have this, first of all, I'm a huge Phil Collins fan, and it's a very Phil Collins record. It has so many songs. There's such a diversity. There's the funny songs. There's the really great Phil Collins songs like No Son of Mine and Tell Me Why or Hold On My Heart. I really like those songs. But then there's also kind of like the deep cut Genesis tunes like Driving the Last Spike and Fading Lights. And then everything in between is I really like. I like the in-between stuff, the deep cuts on that album, like Way of the World or Never a Time. I really like those songs. But to me, the reason it's my favorite is just that visceral connection that I have with it. I think I've told you this before, but I got the cassette Christmas morning, 1990. And was it 90? I always get that, or was it 91? I always get those years mixed up. But anyway, I got it the same year that I got a yellow Sony cassette Walkman. And so I think that's just kind of, you know, that's just visceral, you know what I mean? I'm playing that, listening to No Son of Mine, Jesus, He Knows Me, probably rewinding and listening to that again, maybe flipping it over, whatever. So that's why it's like, and I've gone back to it for various different reasons, is just this intimate connection. And I'm probably a little bit younger than some of you. So like you have those same moments with Abacab, or you have those same moments with Shapes, or even Foxtrot, or The Lamb, or Selling England, whatever. I think their best album is Selling England. I think it has the most amount of fan favorites on it. It has a great pop song on it. It's very concise-ish. It's got great album covers. The lyrics make sense. The lyrics are cool and funny, but not too funny. And it's just sonically and production-wise, it sounds really good. It's bigger and thicker than the previous records. And it's also just like, I mean, beautiful songs. I love the groove. Phil locked into this drum groove on the whole album. He goes crazy, but then he always comes back to this little drum groove. Anyway, I think it's their best album. So if somebody were to say to me, what Genesis record should I start with? Unless they were looking for Phil Collins-y 80s type of music, I would say start with Selling England by the Pound. I think it's their best album. But for me, my favorite album is We Can't Dance. So in the comments below, let me know what your favorite album is. And also let me know, well, you don't have to let me know what their best album is. That's an argument for another day. It's my channel. I get to say that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, this is why I'm asking you, is because I want you to know, I want to hear what your favorite album is. There's no right or wrong answer. And for some of you, it is a certain album for whatever reason. If it's Calling All Stations, because you came to Genesis through Calling All Stations, or from Genesis to Revelation, you have that right. So let's see if we can get a little bit diverse in the comments. Favorite song, gun to my head? I would probably say Turn It On Again, even though I think it changes between I Know What I Like and Throwing It All Away. And Turn It On Again is right in the middle. So I think I'll just say Turn It On Again. that's gone to my head. But you know, there's always these times you're listening to these songs, like the Cinema Show, for the Fifth. When I listen to those tunes, I'm like, this might be my favorite song. And when I listen to live versions too, I'm like, this might be my favorite song. Anyway, and again, that's not their best song, because, you know, a lot of people will say it's kind of crowd mentality to say this crowd think to say that Supper's Ready is their best song. Whatever, got to talk about that one day. But that has no impact or no bearing on what your favorite song is. So you could say, okay, Supper's Ready is their best song. But my favorite song, you know what I mean? That's the question that I have for you. Short episode for you today. Thank you for being a subscriber. If you are want to support the channel for these weekly Phil Collins related episodes, then please visit our Patreon. There's a link in the description of this. There's also a link to some shirts and hoodies related to the channel that you can pick up, all different ways that you can support the channel. At the very least, like and subscribe, and leave a comment with your favorite Genesis album, your favorite Genesis song. Just one, please.